And good morning, my love-seeking spiritual brothers and sisters. It's so good to be here again. So the topic this morning is, what is needed to experience true love? The author C.S. Lewis put it best. He said, to love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything and your heart will be wrung and possibly broken. If you want to make sure of keeping it intact, you must give it to no one. True love is always accompanied by vulnerability. That's the challenge. And vulnerability is the greatest portion of love. It's the stuff that makes for intimacy, for trust, and for openness. Love is the balm, the salve, the healer of all. And love can also destroy the risk of vulnerability. Unconditional love brings peace. Recently, my sister-in-law from Montreal came to visit. I've been married to her sister for almost 9 years, and this was the first visit that my sister-in-law and I actually bonded. Her husband was not with her. In fact, shockingly and unexpectedly, he asked her for a divorce of 25 years of marriage. So it was during this visit that we actually got to be together. She said that her visit was an experience of unconditional love. I owe it to her openness to me. And not only that, but also whatever her challenges have been, and also to my open-heartedness, to listening to her concerns. And my responses were very supportive, they were honest, and they were direct. I mean, after all, I am a New Yorker and not a Canadian. Unconditional love has deep results. It's taken me years of learning to be able to love unconditionally. In my early experience with love, it was through sex, manipulations, and conditions. If the sex was good, I fell in love. And if you acted the way I wanted you to act, then I loved you. But if you did not, then I would withhold love. And none of these behaviors made me vulnerable, or did they bring me closer to the person or to myself, or certainly not to Great Source. The termites of love are hatred and apathy. Hatred makes me feel powerful, and apathy makes me feel untouchable. And these two termites can masquerade as fear and undermine the ability to be vulnerable to true love, unconditional love. Fear of rejection and abandonment has always been underneath my anger. I never want to experience the pain of rejection. Has anyone felt like this? If I get too close, I might lose myself. Anyone? Or if I show you who I really am, you'll leave me. Or you simply won't like the parts that I reveal, and you'll leave me or judge me. If I don't invest in a relationship, then I don't have to be vulnerable. But isolation is a high price to pay for seeming safety. And here's the paradox of vulnerability. It is the very sharing of my fears and sorrows that actually make for an intimate, loving relationship. When I fully give myself over to it, despite my fears, the more that person loves me in return, loves the real me. There's a respect that comes through, a respect that yields a sense of safety and in turn creates trust. And from that trust, I am able to ask for what I need. I'm able to be direct and to be honest. To be afraid with someone is a sign of vulnerable love, compassionate love. The Benedictine sister Joan Chittister wrote, "Compassion is the thread of God that runs through the soul of the human race. Compassion allows me to feel your pain, my pain, our collective pain. It has been written, pain is the touchstone of all spiritual progress. And if that is true, then I must be very spiritual." There is the pain of separateness. The Buddhist teacher and author Jack Kornfield wrote in The Wise Heart, living in a delusion of happiness, of permanence, of separation. He said, with this delusion, we lose perspective and we cling, we forget our luminous true nature. In delusion, we think happiness is a destination, that we will permanently arrive when we do something good, that we were single and self-contained entities, independent of others. The delusion is that we are separate from ourselves, from others, and from Great Spirit. Someone's suffering is my suffering. Will I not experience illness and decay just like someone else someday? Am I not apt to experience further aging in time to come? That is not to say that I invite suffering, but I do not live in the illusion that I am permanently healthy, permanently young, or permanently lucid. Alan Watts, the British philosopher who was big on the Eastern philosophy, called this the taboo against knowing who you are. So who are you? What is our true nature? What is true love? Our true nature is that we have Buddha nature and awakening. We have the boundless love of God through us, around us, in us, and others. We are one with God. We are love. We are generous of spirit. We are goodness. Cornfield also writes, stepping out of the delusion of separation is a relief. When the delusion of separateness is dispelled, we see beneath our roles and dramas to the level of spirit. How can I think I am part of the universe and still think I am separate from you? It's inconsistent. Yet years of my spiritual journey was just like that. And when we live at the level of spirit, we see that all experience is life's suffering. My body is not who I am, nor is my career, nor is my condition. When I live alongside spirit, compassion happens. It lends itself to embracing oneness, the opposite of separation and judgment. And when we have a compassionate heart, we are vulnerable to true love. I dare say, true love does not necessarily start with loving others, but with loving myself. This is one of the harder tasks of life. I care for my wife, my mother, my spiritual coaching clients, and if I did not love myself first, I could not carry the weight of others' souls. And I fall short. Recently, a friend wrote me a letter, a litany of my behavior for not contacting her after her surgery, and a couple of other things that I feel she really misread me about. Now, it is true that I didn't call. First, because having had so many surgeries, I know how taxing it is after a surgery and when you're in recovery to get phone calls. Even when people mean well, recovery is exhausting. But then calling her really just got away from me. My work became busier. My mother had a very nasty fall, causing my schedule to be even more dense. My wife was having work challenges. But it is on me. I didn't call my friend. And she has put up a wall and does not want me to contact her. So I'm checking in through her wife. After reeling from that one-way communication and thinking it through, understanding her point of view and my part, talking to my confidants and praying, I landed on what to do. Forgive myself for my imperfection and simply keep loving her. Loving her through the resentment, through her wall, through our differences. I am responsible for my part, and I am responsible for taking care of myself before I can care for anyone else. Unapologetically forgive myself and love my friend from afar. The practice of loving kindness for myself opens the possibilities of loving others. As I can open my heart and my mind to myself, I am opened to the world. Meditating, contemplating the loving intention of wishing myself well, dropping resistance to the idea of it, leads me to the experience of the brilliance of boundless love, my Buddha nature. As Cornfield says, I am nothing and I am the whole world. Then the separateness that wearies me disappears. He suggests after I do that for a while, we then shift our loving kindness attention to neutral people, people we see regularly but don't pay much attention to, our bank teller, local waitress. Spend days and nights picturing them, wishing them well in meditation, and watch as the love around you grows deeper. From there, we can extend to difficult people and to enemies. But this is not where we start. We begin with ourselves and let the loving kindness radiate outward to illumination. There's a wonderful story of an old Hasidic rabbi. He asked his pupils, how can you tell when night has ended and day has begun? Because daybreak is a certain time for prayers. And one student asks, is it when you see an animal in the distance and you can tell whether it's a sheep or a dog? No, answered the rabbi. Is it when you can clearly see the lines on your palm? Is it when you can look at a tree in the distance and tell if it's a fig or a pear tree? No, answered the rabbi. And the pupils demanded, well, then when is it? And the rabbi responded, it is when you can look on the face of any man or any woman and see that they are your brother or sister. Until then, it is still night. The illumination is the light of true love. We are each other. We are each the face of God. We are the sun and the moon, the rain and the sky, the earth and the oceans. We are poverty, we are wealth, we are sickness, and we are health. And so I ask you this, where is the night in your life? Is there an unillumined heart? Do you experience unconditional love for yourself? Do you know who you are? How do you develop a compassionate heart? Do you know your true God nature? Are you vulnerable in relationships? These are the elements needed to experience true love of yourself, humankind, and God. Will you commit to moving in that direction? Will you? You are a child of the universe, full and clear and present, and as I stand here today, let my open heart be the conduit for the blessings of true love, unconditional love. Let me hold your heart gently and let you know just who you are, how good you are, how connected we are. Let fear be extinguished as the reality of our oneness washes over you, calms you, comforts you, illuminating true love in my heart and in yours. My love of God is vast. And if yours is not, I invite you to use mine until you develop your own, that you can illuminate your heart and the hearts of others. Because we are one as we sit here, no matter what. No matter where we come from, no matter where we're going, no matter what we believe in, inside and outside of this room, we are one with one another. We are God, with God, in God, around us and in us. And so it is.